4, 3, 2, 1. I told you before to be careful where you put your legs.
I was only trying to be helpful.
I can help myself. What are you waiting for? Come on. Come on. What are you waiting for? Come on. Come on.
For 7 decades, Michael Caine has been among the world's most renowned and recognisable actors.
It was just what I needed. A 1-inch god with a 2-inch penis.
The star of classics like Zulu, The Man Who Would Be King, and The Cider House Rules.
It's a miracle no one was killed.
But also films that brought his career to the brink of complete implosion.
I made a mistake.
Somehow, he has always found a way back.
You're a big man, but you're in bad shape. With me, it's a full-time job.
In this epic podcast series, we will watch and review every Michael Caine movie, from the greatest hits
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
to the incredible misses,
You failed to maintain your weapon, son.
and take a deep dive into the life and work of one of the world's most recognisable film stars.
His name is Michael Caine, and no one will forget his name.
To understand how he has made the mark of Caine.
Well, you all settled in? Right, we can begin. For God's sake, come in.
Hello and welcome as always to The Mark of Caine, the podcast series where we take a magnifying glass to the career of Michael Caine to peruse the minutiae of an amazing career in film that reels from the sublime to the ridiculous, often in the same movie. My name is Michael Foley and I'm joined as always by Stephen Black of the Mallow News Twitter feed, and now, to be fair, seasoned Caine film reviewer. How are you doing?
Alright, is it minutiae or minutiae?
I don't know. You do this every... You're a bit like Caine. You know the way Caine has like one good movie every 5? You do this like picking me up on stuff I pronounce wrong about once every 4 podcasts or so. So what is it then? What is it? Minutiae.
I think you said minutiae, didn't you?
I don't know. I say minutiae? I mean, if it's minutiae, where's the S and the H? Or even just some kind of a... I don't know.
Anyway, far be it from me to take the wheels off your carriage.
I don't know what. It's no harm. It slows me down a little bit, makes me think about words, which is, I suppose, no harm in my profession to think about words from time to time. And before we get into Sleuth, really, Stephen, I suppose we really should talk about the elephant in the room. It's a couple of weeks now since Mick Caine retired and then unretired. And we kind of thought it would be safer to give it a little bit of time in case he retired again. We've had a bit of communication on the socials from people asking what we thought, given what we're at. When you saw, let me ask, when you saw that he was retiring, did you believe it?
No, I didn't. Not really. No. I think maybe for a few seconds I was like, could it be? And then reality kicked in. And you know what I mean? Within hours, it was essentially him taking out his big retirement Mickey, swinging it around like a fucking propeller, getting everybody's attention going, oh, this looks good. Oh, please, yes, more of that.
Yeah.
And then he just tucked it away and said, no, I'm not actually retiring. And he slowly walked off into the sunset.
Walked?
Limped.
I think that was one of the problems,
Wheeled.
wasn't it? Wheeled, yeah. That's one of his issues now. He can't walk so well.
I get the impression that his accountant probably rang him after the Kermode and Mayo podcast. Go, what are you at?
I think you might be right. Just to kind of put meat on the bones for anybody who somehow missed this, because it actually became bigger news than you would possibly expect for an 88-year-old actor of his vintage, and the fact he hasn't really been in anything huge apart from the Batmans in the last little while in a proper way, But he's promoting bestsellers. He's film that's out at the minute. He was doing an interview with Simon Mayo as part of the Kermode and Mayo movie show, and yeah, he kind of almost volunteered it. He could just read the quote just for posterity's sake. Anyway, he said, "Funny enough, it has turned out to be what is my last part, really, because I haven't worked for 2 years and I have a spine problem which affects my legs, so I can't walk very well. So, and I also wrote a couple of books which were published and were successful. So now I'm not now an actor, I'm a writer, which is lovely because as an actor, you have to get up at 6:30 in the morning and go to the studio, and as a writer, you start writing without leaving the bed." Nick, I know you're doing it the right way if that's the way you do it. But anyway, that's just my own opinion. So Simon Mayo kind of just kind of nudges him a little bit forward just to get clarification on whether are you actually retiring, Sir Michael? And he says, I think it would be, brackets, my last picture. Yeah. There haven't been many offers, honestly, for 2 years because nobody's been making any movies I want to do. Also, I'm 88. There's not exactly scripts pouring out with a leading man that's 88, So, I mean, he did retire, or am I reading it wrong?
Yeah. Also, what books has he written in the last fucking decade? He's written one book, as far as I can remember, which is yet another kind of recycled version of his autobiography, and that's it. That's all I can find.
He's written a fiction book. He's written a kind of a thriller novel.
A fiction book. Oh, I didn't realize I was talking to a literary expert.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. He's written a thriller novel that he's it's not been published, but he's hoping to get it over the line.
Please don't, because you're gonna make me fucking read it.
I am, we'll be getting that. So quite apart from all the movies that we have to go through, we're going to start reading these fucking books now. But then the following day, there was a tweet came up. I haven't retired, and not a lot of people know that. Oh God, it's always with the brand. And then there was a statement of Variety kind of confirming it. Regarding retirement, I've spent over 50 years getting up at 6 a.m. to make movies. I'm not getting rid of my alarm clock. Keeping in mind that one of the advantages of not acting anymore, that he told Simon Mayo, was, I don't have to get up early anymore. You gotta love him, don't you?
And given the fucking fact that throughout his autobiography, he maintains one of the advantages of working on a film set is that you don't have to get up early in the fucking morning. It's not a regular job.
I think we've established at this stage that a lot of these statements don't really stand up to podcast-based scrutiny.
But I mean, that's the one thing that at least has been consistent throughout his careers, because it certainly hasn't been the quality of these fucking movies. It's his quality of his inconsistency when it comes to both movies and statements about life experiences, movies, blah, 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 all just grain pound.
He is
metric ton of salt.
He is consistently inconsistent. It's obviously been forgotten. Christ above, I didn't know either. But he actually retired before he quit acting back in the mid-90s after Bullet to Beijing, one of these Harry Palmer straight to... Would we have had DVDs in 1995? Would it still straight to video? Anyway, whatever. He had such an awful experience in St. Petersburg shooting that, which we'll save for another day, that he says himself it put him off. But Jack Nicholson managed to cajole him back for Blood and Wine. Now, I went and just checked the dates because I was thinking, oh gosh, maybe he went for 2 or 3 years. Bullet to Beijing came out in 1995. Blood and Wine came out in 1996. So it was like, yeah, he retired for another hot weekend, I'd say. And, first decent offer that came along. Oh,
it's like Ringo leaving the Beatles during the making of the White Album.
It is, yeah. Coming back with the drum kit garlanded with flowers. Yeah. You can imagine Sir Michael's chair when he went onto the set of Blood and Wine, garlanded in, I don't know, whatever he'd be into. I'm not sure what.
Cigars,
yeah, cigars, and a bottle of wine for his evening meals, because he only drinks when he's eating. By the way, just in case he does,
he only drinks when he's eating. Does that go for water as well? Like, so he's trying to get through his couple of liters of water a day. Does he need to have like a little snack, a little cashew, a almond nut, swallow that down in order to keep going? Sorry, Shakira. I can't have that glass of water. I need to have my cashew.
He's a man who treats
little cashew.
Man who treats his body as a temple in his advancing years. So I'd say he's hip to any of that stuff. Yeah, I'd say he absolutely is. He actually had, even if he was retiring, right? This is so Tupac. This is why I think he's going to be the Tupac of the movie business, even when the great man is dead and gone. He already had filmed a movie anyway called Medieval, which you'll be glad to hear, Stephen, is a Czech historical drama. For some reason, it gets me thinking of The Last Valley, his old 30 Years War thing. A Czech historical drama, of course, being what we're all crying out for, called Medieval. It's out in 2022. So even if he wasn't making movies anymore, there are still more Caine movies to come.
I've seen that, and the only picture I've seen of him on set is him being carried in a sedan. Those sedan chairs. So even still, he's sitting down.
It's sitting down, Caine, really, at this stage, isn't it? What's your stage? Just remind me again. This is something obviously for another day, but what are your? It's sitting. We're in sitting down, Caine, now, isn't it?
No, we've entered the lying down phase. So he's now either vocals or lying down Caine. So Fox only Caine. So you're like the radio in Dunkirk, and his various voiceover work in the likes of Romeo versus Juliet or whatever.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet 2, Electric Boogaloo. and now he's entered. Yeah, even the trailer for that that new one with Aubrey Plaza. What's
Yeah,
the name of it
bestsellers.
was?
Bestsellers.
Bestsellers. He's like half the footage from that trailer is him lying in a bed. So this is
Right.
I mean, essentially, he's probably written into his contract that a certain amount of footage would be shot of him lying in state, so it could be recycled and used basically in future films that he can fund his still going concern of restaurants and maybe buy ponies for his daughters or whatever. I don't know.
Exactly, and fund the maintenance of the head stuff. Like, I mean, it is going. He's going to be 2-packed. There's going to be they'll be scraping together the dregs of stuff.
There'll be a hologram on tour.
Hologram Caine. There will. He'll be in movies, so he'll be still doing Alfred the Butler as a hologram in 20, 30 years time, and hopefully he'll be around to do it. But here's something to chill your soul just before we leave this. I didn't know this. Maybe you knew this, but Vin Diesel had an idea for a part for Caine in the Fast and Furious franchise.
I did not know that.
This terrifies me.
Obviously, Helen Mirren is it? Was supposed to play Jason Statham's dad or something?
It's yeah, exactly. This I'm telling you now, right? I'm telling you now. If somehow lying down Caine kind of manifests in the Fast and Furious franchise, I'm gone. I'm done with this. I can't do it. That's just a bridge too far.
Well, that's a good segue. That kind of ruins me just to say my only factoid about Vin Diesel is that he has a twin brother, literally Twin Diesel.
Really? Twin Diesel?
Yeah.
Are you
Twin
serious?
Diesel, yeah.
You're not taking
100%. I am not taking the piss.
Oh my God. Well, we'll probably leave it at that. He did one more thing. He did I have to say, it was a bit poignant reading this interview in The Guardian, maybe about a week after his Kermode and Mayo interview had appeared. And again, he's kind of saying he's retiring, but he also said like he doesn't watch his own movies. He misses his old mates. They're all passing away on him, and it's his buddies he misses rather than he doesn't watch his movies anymore. So, but you know what? We're here to watch them for you, man. So we'll keep driving on.
Yeah, I'm not going to ruin that segue. That was fine. Yeah. So to go back, you said seasoned, like as in like a piece of fucking meat that's been hung out and kind of covered in fucking peppercorns and a bit of salt and pepper that dry out in the sun. Yeah, that kind of seasoning. Yeah, kind of feels like that. We have been trudging through some terrible schlock lately. It has to be said. Like it's been a rough ride since Get Carter, hasn't it? Yeah, it's been pretty poor. All right. It has been but you know what? I don't know. Sleuth is today's film, and it was a bit of a treat. I think maybe knowing it was an Oscar-nominated performance from Mick Caine, I had high hopes. I had very high hopes, and I think he delivered. Do you think he delivered? Yeah, I think we can get into further detail, obviously, because that's kind of what we're supposed to do. It's certainly a better movie than the last 2 or 3 that we've watched. Yeah, it's certainly an improvement. But anyway, look, you know what? It's more than an improvement. This is a fabulous performance by Caine. In his own words at the time, this is the best film that he had made and the best performance that he felt he had given to date in anything. Opposite Lord Olivier, indeed, the godfather of stage and screen acting, in a great old thriller mystery called Sleuth.
Think of the perfect crime. The house is empty. Have you ever actually committed a crime before? Then go one step further. This, as they say, is where the plot thickens. It's a real game and a real murder. There's absolutely no point in playing another pretend game. Isn't that right? Palomar Pictures International presents. I understand you want to marry my wife. With your permission, of course. Laurence Olivier. You may not agree with this, Inspector, but you take it from me. The shortest way to a man's heart is through humiliation. You soon find out what he's made of. Michael Caine. Why don't I just keep tapping you lightly on the head with a poker until the lump comes up? Can't make a game out of real murder. We'll see. In Joseph L. Mankiewicz's film. You're mad! You're a bloody madman! You are a young man, dressed as a clown, about to be murdered. Of Anthony Schaffer's Tony Award-winning play, Sleuth. Right. Well, did you enjoy it? Is it a bit of a Sunday afternoon classic for you?
It's a bit of a kind of a Sunday, yeah. The kind of latchkey kid, parents who got off to the beach. You're kind of that kind of adolescent time of your life. You're going, oh, I don't want to be going away with my family. I want to be by myself. But you're home and this is on, and you're kind of going, oh God, what is this? And it's fine. Like it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was okay. I had an okay time with it. It was, I mean, it was a slog. Like, I'll sing a little song for you. Can I sing a little song for you?
Yes, go on.
Yeah. It's a film that's turned into a movie. Oh shit! Sorry, I'll have to go back and what an idiot! Okay.
Brilliant. Take
can
two.
Can you cut me in?
This will be on the anthology edition. No, this is like this will be like well, we'd like to see earlier versions to see how this song evolved.
You really wouldn't know it was awful.
Okay, I'll count you in. Do you want what kind of a counting do you want? You want a slow counting? What kind of a tempo?
Just mid tempo. We'll probably end up cutting this anyway. Because
I doubt it. One. Are you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a play that's been turned into a movie. It's a play that's been turned into a movie. Although it has the scope of Alfred Hitchcock's Rope, it's a play that's been turned into a movie. I really mean it. Why?
Just the one verse yet.
Oh yeah, it's a work in progress. 2 hours and 20 fucking minutes, like with no intermission, like you get in the theater, like decent people would. Get my gin and tonic, go, Christ, your man's laying it on a bit thick, isn't he? I wonder what's going to happen in the second act, blah, blah, blah. Not even that, no. 2 hours and 20 minutes of two lads talking to each other with very little to distract you except odd shots of dead-eyed automatons that the director bizarrely throws in every 7 minutes he'll cut to like a dead-eyed fucking sailor or doll playing the piano or a bear doing shots, which was another one, a bizarre one as well. But yeah, do you want to break down the plot there before I go to my old man shouts at cloud routine? Before
you go to your man shouts at cloud routine, I do think it's important to point out, just for yourself, like that you are watching these films online, so you can pause if you want an intermission. I'm not expecting you to sit through the whole lot. No one is. You can go away and walk away, and come back again. That is an option for you.
Oh, and I did. I didn't sit down and watch this in one go. There was no way that was going to happen. I started 40 minutes into it. Okay, this is all right. And then, no, I had to go and have it. But I'm just in terms of a cinema experience back in the day when there was no watching shit at home on your TV. When it came out, you were sat in the cinema, and you were put through 2 hours and 20 minutes of this, and then out and expected. Yeah, it's an awful lot to digest.
Man, back in the 70s, they were all smoking cigarettes and probably having a G&T in there. Could you serve alcohol in cinemas back in the 70s?
You can still serve alcohol in the cinemas now.
Can you? I've never ordered a drink in a cinema.
Well, the Lighthouse in Dublin does it, doesn't it?
I have no idea.
I think the Kino in Cork did it as well.
Maybe these are. I should really start visiting these places. Okay,
it's not always you can get a fucking a fat frog going in to watch Peter Rabbit 2 with the kids.
Oh God, and how badly it would be needed for Peter Rabbit 2, let me tell you.
2 pints of that and you go, do you know what, James Corden's actually really funny, isn't he, kids?
Oh God, I tell you, I tell you, going to some of the, when you have small kids going to some of those movies, it does make you appreciate even bad Mick Caine movies that you have to sit through. And by the way, I think we're going to have a little bit of a difference of opinion on this one by the sounds of things. I thought it was a lot better than you do, but I think that comes back. I think that comes
conflict.
I think that comes
the listeners love conflict.
They do. They love it when we're killing each other. I think it comes back to your distaste for theatre turned to film, but we will come on to all that. I'll get through the plot. It's huge, to be honest. I mean, huge spoiler alert here because it is a mystery. It's a lot of twists and turns. So
there's a lot of twists and turns in this. Basically, the best way to go through this movie is with your eyes closed and consider it like a really fucking long audiobook, because the spoilers that he's talking about, unless you are, God love you, visually impaired, if you're visually impaired, then everything in this movie will turn out to be a complete. And you know what? Maybe a little bit of a hearing problem as well, because to be honest with you, as most things with Caine, when there's an accent on, it tends to kind of slip whenever he has to shout as the character that he's playing. But again, sorry for interrupting you, but I just wanted to contextualize that whole spoilers.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it's a very good movie. It's a nice movie, and if you want to watch it and you haven't seen it, maybe you might want to scroll along because it really is it's a twisty one. Anyway, on we go. Okay, so Andrew Wyke is played by Lord Olivier. He's a successful crime fiction author who invites this chap Milo Tyndall, played by Caine, to discuss the business of Milo's ongoing affair with Wyke's wife. He wants Milo basically to stage a jewel robbery in the house that will result in an insurance payout that will allow Wyke to offload his wife, whose name is Marguerite, and give Milo the cash to fund her apparently lavish lifestyle. So Milo agrees. Cue fairly complex scheme to rob the house that stars Caine in a clown costume. But it all ends up with Wyke apparently shooting and killing Milo, the robbery scheme being a ruse to frame Milo as a burglar and explain his death. Next up, Inspector Doppler arrives investigating Milo's disappearance. Sorry, you'll understand why I'm laughing in about 5 minutes' time. It turns out that Wyke only used blanks and Milo stumbled off home when the whole episode was finished. But Doppler finds enough evidence at the scene to support a murder. And he arrests Wyke only to reveal himself as Milo. It's Caine! Oh my goodness, the man has inhabited and disappeared into another character. So, score settled? No, don't think so. Milo's on a roll now. So next up, he claims that he's killed Wyke's lover, Taya, and that the police are arriving soon. He's framed Wyke for the killing. He has Wyke then scrambling around the house seeking planted evidence before the cops arrive. When they do, of course, it turns out that Milo has tricked Wyke again and Taya's alive and there's no police. And he keeps driving it into Wyke, at which point Wyke threatens, look, basically, lad, I've had enough for you. I'm going to kill you. Milo says, I saw that coming, Mr. Wyke. I've already called the cops in the event of you trying to kill me. But Wyke is like, I'm going to kill you anyway. So he kills him. The film ends with Wyke trapped in his house with the police outside and all, as Stephen mentioned, all these various automata, kind of gadgets and models and contraptions playing ghoulish hurdy-gurdy music. So that was it. I thought it was a very good film, 2 great performances. And all I was thinking at the end of it is, where has this McCain been since Get Carter?
I just going to. I don't really care about that at the moment. I want to bring this back a few steps. Right? I don't care about me. We know what McCain's been doing. He's been engaged in a little bit of what the gentleman might call riding with his soon-to-be wife. He's in love. This is Caine in love. So he's been a little bit distracted with that. But he's also doing the typical Caine thing of I didn't read the script. I trust the guys involved in it going off and making movies, deciding it's a disaster, then not bothering to be motivated enough to put in a good performance. Okay, so this is him partnering off with Lord Larry Olivier. Feels as if he has to pull out the big guns so that he can be an equal with Olivier on the screen. So he's very invested. And again, you get Caine invested, you get a great performance. Yeah, and it's as much as I wouldn't say dislike this movie. There's aspects of it that I just thought were fucking ridiculous and tedious. But he puts in a great performance here. Now, let's start at the start. Okay. I'm going to clear the decks for this. I'm going to come back. I'll come back to some of those points later on, but I will clear the decks now for your latest episode of Man Shouts at Cloud. All right. This is 1972, right? This is the year that I saw The Godfather. This is well into the kind of the new cinema, the new wave of American cinema. This starts out with a score and credits that would have been at home in the 1940s or 50s. It's very old school. You kind of thought again. I was like I've done before. I've been watching the wrong version of what I'm supposed to be watching. Oh, really? Yeah, I was like, well, this can't. No, I didn't. Well, you thought you were because I was going. This can't be filmed this out in the 70s. Like, there's a fucking harpsichord in here as well. What's going on? You mentioned we normally, not to break the illusion of completely improvised hashtag bands here, but we do occasionally exchange messages about the movie. You mentioned, a Murder, She Wrote vibe to this, but the composer of this composed the theme song for Murder, She Wrote. Get out of town. Yes. Get out of town. John Addison wrote the score for Murder, She Wrote. There you go. That's my day, mate. It kind of reminded me of Murder, She Wrote, sort of on a harpsichord, probably played by like Ray only with about 20% less sexual tension. About 20%, yeah. I mean, you're not going to get that frisson that you get with Lansbury, to be fair. You're introduced then. I think there's 2 exterior shots in this, and the first one is Caine playing Tyndall arriving at the manor house and going out to find Larry, who's dictating. I suppose a follow from Pulp, dictating his latest detective novel in the middle of a maze because he enjoys games. He likes games a lot. Everything's a game, Michael. Life is a game. Love is a game. Social climbing is a game. Everything is a game. Did you get that? He enjoys games. He's like fucking. If anyone watches the song movie, it's like Jigsaw, played by Oscar Wilde, written by fucking Noel Coward. It's, I mean, like, this isn't just subtext that's kind of put on with, with like a sprinkle of subtext. This is like big fucking butter knife on a big, fucking loaf of bread, slathering it on there. Do you want it? No, I've enough. No more subtext. He likes games. Get it down your fucking mouth, you idiot.
Yeah, there can be no doubt on that point about that subtext about the game, but also Olivier in general. He is in full blown Technicolor here. Like, it is Lord Olivier. I am here to act. All of you, move around me now.
Oh, Caine's anecdote about this is that they're doing the run through in the script, and he noticed how much Larry was putting into it. He was going to give it everything, and Larry said, "Oh dear boy, you must put your entire performance into the read through, otherwise you'll never give 100% of the screen." And Caine goes, "And from that day on, I always did."
Oh, this is huge.
I learned a life lesson. Like an awful lot like a fucking puppy getting a treat, and you're trying to change him a trick. I sat, I gave the paw. They taught me how to do it, and from that day on, I was able to do it again and again and again.
There is some great Caine stroke Olivier stuff to get through. But carry on with you were in mid shout there at Cloud. Go on.
Yeah, the first 40 minutes I actually like the pace of the first 40 minutes. They set it up. There's a good bit of back and forth. The dialogue is sharp. Larry described himself as an Olympic level sexual athlete is something that is going to be burned into my brain for the rest of my life. Michael Caine throwing a dart again
Sports
to answer
Caine.
Sports Caine, and clearly again has never thrown a dart. He's like uses his non-dart hand to stabilize himself.
That's right. That is right. I'm sorry, I laugh every time. Sports Caine is one of my favorite things in this. I mean,
it's my favorite
sport he can't mangle?
No, he's not the most athletic of individuals. What else? Yeah, it's good to set up. I mean, you could see the twist a mile coming. I mean, that's how fucking thick is Tyndall in this. You're going along to the husband of the woman you're having an affair with. You're told him that you're basically that you want to get married, meaning that she's going to divorce him, and him surrounded by the relics of his detective writing career or detective novel writing career. All these fucking weird automata machines. Clearly, he's nuts. But also he's well versed in the whole world of detective novels, and he's going, "Oh, do you know what? Fair play to you, lad, for writing the missus. Do you know what? Too much for me, boy. I've got my own piece on the side there. Do you know what would be a great idea? If you rob my safe and we claim it in the insurance." Yes, that sounds like a normal proposal. I am in agreement with you. Let me now incriminate myself completely. And oh no, how could you betray me like this in a twist that everybody saw coming? And the wet puppy dog eyes that Caine gives them. How could you do this to me? How could you make me dress up in a clown outfit, stage the entire break-in, and then out of nowhere turn on me?
It has to,
despite the fact that you've referred to me as a jumped up pantry boy, hat tip to Morrissey, and various Italian racist tropes.
It has to be pointed out at this stage now that the scene you're talking about is key for all sorts of reasons, right? So basically, just to set the scene, okay? So you have Caine hanging onto a banister in blubs of tears, going, "Don't kill me, don't." All this, right? First question I'll have for you in a second is it a bit OTT? But the second point is that when they had filmed the scene, Olivier is walking away. This is a classic Caine anecdote coming up here now. Classic Caine anecdote, klaxon. He walks away, and kind of a little bit in parallel with the movie itself and the two characters, where Olivier's character is basically looking down his nose at Caine's character throughout the whole thing. He turns to Caine and says, "When we started this film, I thought of you as a talented assistant, but now I see you as a partner." I said, "Oh my God." But Caine says, what a cunt. Oh my God. Caine says, "Greatest compliment I ever got." I was like, "Man, think more of yourself."
Yeah, well, think more of yourself. And as well, that ties into this whole thing. He was worried. He was stressed going into
wrecked out of his head.
This, again, how insane the English are. How would I address him? It was Lord Olivier. Should I address him as Lord by Larry? But Larry then gave him his permission to call him Larry. I'm going, dickhead. I'm going, we're both in the same movie. Like, we're both getting more or less equal billing in this thing. They were both in supporting actor category. So it's not like they were actually, one was given a lead, the leading actor over the other. They were both billed as supporting actors.
Yeah.
So it's not as if there was any kind of pecking order, except for the one that existed in fucking Caine's head and the one that Olivier obviously had established in his own mind.
I do like the
nuts.
I do like the idea though of you mentioned there, you know, Lord, you know, what do I call you? Well, I'm Lord Olivier and you are Mr. Caine. But after that he says we're Larry and Mike. Larry and Mike, like it's just screams early 70s New York sitcom cab drivers starring John Cazale, fresh from his role as Fredo in The Godfather, and a very young Tony Danza. Or maybe just Olivier and Caine in a sitcom, you know, trying to make ends meet in Brooklyn. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
You got enough you got enough money? You got enough bread for the rent this month, Larry?
Is that Caine doing a New York accent?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was too authentic for my liking.
Come on, you try.
You all right there, Larry? Or you have enough money for the rent?
I just have a vision of Olivier sitting on a couch on the set going, oh dear boy. I'm not doing the accent. I'm just speaking as I always do.
I would like to go get me a slice of New York pizza. Do you enjoy New York pizza pie, Mike? Oh, I sure do enjoy the slice of the American pizza pie. Oh, marvelous. Then shall we go together and engage in a slice of pizza pie and perhaps go for a Budweiser? Oh, boy, as an American man, I sure would like me a slice of an American pizza pie and a Budweiser.
I don't know, is that JFK or is it Harry Sundown? Or what the hell is going on there?
I'm not currently engaging 100% of my brain. How fucking dare you? I'm 50% engaged in the accent and 50% on improv.
Keeping in mind,
and I'm nailing both.
Keeping in mind that Mick Caine, yes, always accents take up 50% of the brain when you're in that space. He was very conscious.
Larry, you haven't picked up your towels in a bathroom again. Oh dear boy, what a fright. I am forever less being fastidious than you, for I am the messy one, which is ironic because I am British, and you are the tidy one, despite the fact that you are clearly an authentic Italian-American man.
I really wish I hadn't started down this road, but here we are. I'm going to try.
This is your fucking punishment for it now.
Yeah,
this is what you get for engaging in flights of fancy.
But you don't just you're not punishing just me. You're punishing anyone who's listening to this. Not fair.
I'm taking them on an oral journey. How dare you?
God, yeah, it's an oral journey that ends with blood coming out their ears. Anyway, very conscious he was indeed that he was dealing with this formidable force. Like I learned a lot about Olivier actually from reading one of Caine's biographies about this film. Like, for example, like Olivier was known as a scene stealer. And I got, okay, what's a scene stealer mean? So apparently it means like little twitches and movements on camera that draw attention to that actor and away from other actors who should be central to whatever the scene is. And also he was an upstager. Now, I was obviously heard the expression to be upstaged, but apparently it's a thing. Someone who moves backwards upstage, forcing other actors to turn their heads from the camera and speak their lines to them. So he's essentially dictating how the scene plays out. But apparently, like Joe Mankiewicz, who's the director, he was very good, like in fairness, in terms of calming Caine down, told him he'd look after him, and they worked out a kind of a camera system to fit around how Olivier moved, so that in the edit they could put it all together in a way where it was kind of even Steven, even if Olivier was expecting everybody to act around him, and he did dominate everything. But they seem to have got on well.
Yeah, mutual respect, blah blah blah. But I mean, good to Olivier's performance. My God, there's times in this movie where you just want to stick a few cloves in him, slather him in honey, and just pop him into the oven for Christmas dinner. Like, my God, it's like pure. I come from the stage, my boy. Ham, just pure kind of fucking full English ham on a plate.
Haven't you forgotten the jumped-up pantry boy who doesn't know his place?
There's one fantastic bit where he kind of just slides onto the couch next to Caine. And this goes back to an old conversation, something we haven't really chatted about in a long, long time, the de-gayification of Caine in the early days. But he slides in beside him, and my brain just immediately goes to Olivier in Spartacus and the whole oysters and mussels and all the rest of it. And the line is like, it's only a couple of minutes of kind of homoeroticism, but it's like he kind of slides in beside Caine and he kind of looks deeply into those. God, you get lost in those eyes, wouldn't you? But he says, you lived. He's talking about the whole game playing and testing. He was testing. I'm testing you are my sort of person. You lived more intensely in my company than anybody else's, even Marguerite. We know what it is to play a game, you and I. That's so rare. Two people brought together, evenly matched, to make of life a continuing charade of invention. At this point, like, I'm just expecting Olivier to ask him if he enjoys both oysters and mussels and whether he has any objections to savouring the pleasures of both. Like, it was, I just thought it was a great moment.
Yeah, and I think when Caine's character refers to knowing about Larry's impotence, or Larry's character's impotence as well, this is whole kind of, it's obviously because he is no longer attracted to women, he's attracted to the game. Game is everything. Games. Oh, games. Games.
You think
games.
You think he's attracted to games?
Oh, I think he is. I think
always.
I'd say no. If you took out a game of Monopoly, sorry, Andrew. Say no. If you took out Buckaroo there, you would have to you keep it away from a black light anyway. I tell you that much. That donkey that has been abused.
Oh, he's gaming that donkey up good.
Sure is.
Overall,
no wonder it wants to throw everyone off.
The Caine performance. Look, for me anyway. From my thing, I thought like the dialogue is super. Like it's to make the point, and this, as I say, I think is partly why you don't like it. This was a Tony Award-winning stage play, translated to the screen. Anthony Schaefer.
They could have thrown a few songs in and made it into a musical. That would have made it more entertaining. Life's a game. Life's a game. Game. Life's a game.
So I'm going to stop you there now. You've had your quota of singing for the episode. You can go in now and work on that for another day. I thought the dialogue was good. The performance was good. To me, like, it's classic. It's actually classic Caine pointing, talking slowly for emphasis. No blinking. Doesn't blink much. He's looking down. I learned this thing recently. Apparently, he learned a thing looking at Spencer Tracy, where he's always looking down until he speaks, because apparently it gives it more emphasis when you look up. I don't know. But it's almost like later Caine revealed in the early 70s. But I want to throw something at you, because there is one gigantic thing in the movie that you've alluded to there already a little bit, that you have to buy into if you're going to enjoy this movie. Otherwise, you're going to go, what a complete crock of a waste of time and stupidity.
What you need to buy into is that going back to 1972, that the audiences that were going to cinema were about as sophisticated as the audience in Paris that went to see the first Lumiere Brothers movie of the train leaving the station. That apocryphal story about they put it on and people screamed because they thought, oh my God, this is a real train coming towards us. We're all going to die.
Mm-hmm.
That you have to buy into that fact, because as we mentioned, the first shot of Inspector Doppler. So it's a couple of days after Tyndall's disappearance, and there's a knock at the door, and looks for the door, nobody there, goes around the back, and they reveal, and Mankiewicz shoots this in the most dreadful way possible, because in bright light, he looks less like Caine in the makeup than he does in the shadow. In the shadows, it just looks like Caine with a moustache. So you're going, did everybody in 1972, was there's like this mass aneurysm that happened to cinema goers? It's like people coming out with nosebleeds going, I genuinely don't know what happened. My God, that was a great movie. Or what the fuck was going on? Because is it the same way, when you were watching Superman as a kid, you're going, God, you really can't believe a man can fly. And then you watch it now and you're kind of going, oh God, that's blue screen to fuck like.
Yeah.
I don't think it is, because again, this was a level of sophistication on screen that you'd never really seen before from a special effects perspective. Whereas this is a man in makeup.
This is a guy wearing
this is clearly a Michael Caine in makeup.
Oh,
now take that aside. All right.
Okay.
Let's say, okay, terrible idea to introduce him in shadow because it looks exactly fucking like Michael Caine. And all your brain is doing, okay, so we thought he was dead, so clearly he's not dead, so this is going to be explained. But why are they doing this? And how come the master of games master, the man who so had the upper hand in the first half of the movie, all of a sudden kind of, good evening, this is clearly you, Inspector Doppler, not anyone else. Clearly not, You bear a slight resemblance to the man who's gone missing. Perhaps are you related, distant cousins? Your accent is different, but so therefore you cannot be.
His hands look like a fucking.
They made no effort. They made no effort with the hands at all. And then you kind of go, all right, maybe put it aside. Maybe if Caine put in a performance that it's clearly two separate characters. Unfortunately, we come back to that age-old issue of Michael Caine and accents. So Inspector Doppler kind of talks like that. Oh, trouble up mill. There's been a murder. There's a man dead in a cider barrel. But unfortunately, I keep on slipping back in Michael Caine's accent.
That was Australian. That was actually Australian. It's easy to slip. See, 50% of the brain is gone there.
It is, yeah, but I'm not a celebrated multi-nominated actor.
I would put his accent down as the best accent he's done so far, for what it's worth.
Yes, it is the best accent he's done for what it's worth. But still, it slips all the fucking time. Like, there's no consistency in it.
Can I ask you a question? So, how long, if you could put a clock on it, how long did it take you to recognize that when he opened the door and the inspector is standing there?
A second. As soon as I saw the face, I could have gone, there he is, that's him. That's him. That's your man. That's that fella now. What's happening there, no, Lorraine? Jesus, no, love. What do you think? Jesus, that's the fella. Who's dead? That can't be, though. Like, they don't look anything alike. And my brain is telling me if somebody doesn't look like another person, then they have to be two separate people.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. And I mean, like, as you just said there in the middle of all of that, ranting, like the idea that this, highly tuned fictional crime writer can just suddenly turn into this complete moron and not notice that the guy standing in front of him pretending to be an inspector, framing him for murder.
But especially since he hasn't fucking killed him. If he had, thought he had killed him, and that's what they're setting up, then you're kind of going, yes, he would buy into, obviously, this couldn't be the man I've killed because this man is dead. But because he knows Tyndall is alive, you think he'd even be more fucking suspicious.
It's in your brain. But look, I know. And you know what? To be fair, if the old bit of movie magic makeup had been better, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would.
What's going on in the theater? You're getting your program at the start, and your fucking bowl, your pot of ice cream, and you're going over. Just there's only two people in this. And there's the intermission coming back, and an inspector calls. And I'm going to go back to the program here a second now. Who's this beat that's just been introduced?
I'm going to stop you there now on your hilarious comedy riff, right? Because to be fair, I can't speak for the play, right? But if you remember the opening credits that you paid so much attention to, they listed off a load of fake actors to try and put people off the scent.
Yeah. But this is something you could look up in one of your fact-finding missions, whether or not they included in the program for the theaters, because I'd imagine fucking Equity or whoever probably would have had a word or two with them.
I don't know. But anyway, it's the thing that you have to just put it out of your head, and then once you realize when the inevitable comes, but
even if they look so good,
he disrobes his face
very slowly, goes kind of through a Lex Luthor transfer. There's a bit in the middle where he's no eyebrows and no hair, and he looks less like Michael Caine than he does with the fucking the moustache and the wig on. It's fucking ridiculous. If they gone with that, you'd go, wow, that's his Tyndall's cousin who has alopecia.
Yeah, he looks like Dr. Evil.
But just to go to, like, even a modern day cinema, what was it, 2 years ago, was it Luca Guadagnino, I'm sorry for mangling his name, the Call Me By Your Name director, did a remake of Argento's Suspiria. And in that, there's Tilda Swinton is in it as, like, Head Witch, spoiler or whatever, but it's fucking, yeah. But anyway. But there's also a character, this very old man who plays a psychotherapist. And it's Tilda Swinton in old man makeup.
Yes.
But if you look at this. Yeah, but it was really, really convincing. But people worked it out because of the cast listing on the movie, because they gave a fake name for the actor. Somebody looked it up. But that's, I mean, if you looked at it, you'd have to look very, very deeply in order for it to kind of twig it. But even, I don't know, people are more curious now, but they figured this out before the movie came out that, this character was Tilda Swinton. Yeah. People were clearly back in the 70s, probably had more pressing things. Was Vietnam still going on in 1972?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
but Vietnam's in full swing. Maybe people are worried about that and whatnot, and I don't know.
Yeah,
other history stuff in the 70s. I know the cocaine bombs that they were dropping on South America.
Here we go. Yeah, what you're listening to here now is a person talking as though they're walking into a lake, and slowly but surely their head is disappearing below the waterline. Was Vietnam still on then, was it?
I also can't, and also unable to swim.
Totally unable, and I'm throwing him stones to help him to get out. Do we have anything else to say about the movie? We've kind of done. I mean, I think we're both in kind of agreement. Probably me more so than you that Caine was very, very good in this. Are we?
Yeah, I think go back to what you said about the crying being over the. Like, weird character choices in this. I mean, you're fucking exposed. Like Tyndall collapses like a fucking one of those sex beds or anti-sex beds at the Olympics. Like just fucking. Gosh, as soon as the gun is pointed to him, he's there weeping on the stairs, and it's supposed to be this transformative moment for him, as he says, once he wakes up after he's been shot with the blank. You know that it's forever changed. It's a really like he turns on a dime. Like it's for what they've established really out of fucking character. And then it flips the roles, I suppose. At the first half, Larry's the one who's in control. It's his game, it's his rules, and Tyndall is dancing to his drum or boy. And then in the second half, it's completely reversed, where Tyndall, who's shown no competence whatsoever in all this, first of all, has wonderful friends in the makeup trade or the prosthetics trade, and is now a phenomenal character actor who's able to inhabit this role of Inspector Doppler, and all of a sudden is capable of all these machinations about setting up this all the clues that would frame Larry for his own murder, and then all the clues that would frame Larry for Taya's murder as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is a complete fucking switch, and it's not really realistic. I know
it's not working for you. I think
it's not working. It's pedantic. I know.
I think you're being harsh. I think
you're one thing I would point out well about Caine's performance, and I suppose it's written into the play as well, is that the decay of his accent. So it's all he's kind of this nouveau riche, jumped up pantry boy again, going back to that line, who's introducing himself. It keeps up kind of the upper class accent, but the more he's provoked by Wyke's character, Wyke, his accent decays until he's back in his Barrow Cockney accent towards the end of the first half of the movie. So that's good progression. He does that well. Although, to be fair, again with Caine, the inability to carry an accent is something that he's really, really good at doing anyway.
It kind of comes naturally to him. It's like it or love it. It's a very focused Caine performance. It is, for me, it's reminiscent now of kind of Zulu and Ipcris, where he's really invested in it. Like he's clearly intimidated, overawed, whatever you want to call it, by the prospect of squaring off against Olivier. But he builds himself up psychologically to do it, and he holds his own. And you could say that that's partly helped by Larry just absolutely hamming it up at times. But Caine more than holds his own. He had a great line in an interview, maybe a year later, around 1973. You'll find this online. It's a lovely interview. But he's asked about playing a role opposite Olivier for an entire movie, and how that was. And he says, "Well, look, it's like fighting Cassius Clay." He says, "You mightn't win, but you've got to put up a show. Otherwise, why are you in the ring with him?" So I mean, in that line alone, I think is again, we see, like you said at the top, engaged Caine, focused Caine. I can't let myself down, Caine, and it kind of shows why we're doing this whole thing. We know that this guy is a fabulous actor, but he just sometimes, a lot of the time, he lets his mind drift for whatever reason. But when he's on it, he's one of the best there is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Engaged Caine is good Caine.
Good Caine. He nominated for
Engaged Caine, bad Caine.
Bad Caine. He was nominated for an Oscar.
He was.
As was Olivier. As you mentioned, did you mention at the top that he was beaten out by Marlon Brando for it?
I just mentioned it was the same year as The Godfather.
Yeah,
Marlon Brando won him.
No, the Oscars that in 1973 were a very interesting thing. People may well be aware that Brando won the Oscar for The Godfather, declined to accept the award, sent up. He wasn't at the event. He sent a woman called Sasheen Littlefeather, who was an Apache, to read a statement. It was a protest by Brando, who was very much into Native American rights, and it was a protest against the plight of Native American in the 1970s, but also a kind of a reference to their depiction, I suppose, traditionally on screen and so on, etc., etc. What struck me, I mean, two things actually. Number one, Caine was actually one of the co-hosts for the Oscars that year with Carol Burnett, Rock Hudson, and Chuck Heston. Apparently, he says that he was. Well, this is Caine's version. He wasn't nervous at all about the notion of winning the best actor or anything because he was so nervous about presenting the Oscars. Apparently, there was guys like writing jokes in the wings for the presenters before they went out, and off you go. But that was one thing. The other thing that struck me was the person who read out the nominations and announced the winner was Roger Moore, who I don't know, but we should know this really, but I'm guessing they were friends at this point. And
it's kind of the same way that when you're from Ireland and you meet somebody from outside Ireland, they ask you, do you know so and so? They expect you because you're from Ireland to know them.
Well, not really, because I mean, wasn't Caine's first agent Roger Moore's agent? Didn't Roger Moore meet him in the early 60s and say, you're going to be a star? And so on and so forth. So they had a relationship for about 10 years at this stage if they weren't good buddies. But anyway, point is, when Moore reads out that it's Marlon Brando, you can kind of see that he's a little bit crestfallen looking. So it's either that he knows what's coming, that Brando isn't in the audience and what's going to happen next, and he's like, I just don't want to be involved in this, or he's a bit gutted for his buddy. But it's there, it's available on you'll find it on YouTube, that little moment where they announce this and Sasheen Littlefeathers.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that the Oscar audience, being their usual funhouse selves, mixture of boos and cheers for more boos than cheers as she went up. Caine, in to his credit, said he thought Brando was a coward for not going up there and taking the boos himself and making the statement himself. Clint Eastwood, such a dickhead, dedicated one of the awards to all the cowboys who were shot in John Ford movies. Oh God. This is a man who debated a fucking chair, you know.
You know, there's stuff we forget about these. You know, these guys who make so many great films. It's just stuff they do. And
what's the other thing about Clint Eastwood? Again, this is alleged that he has asked most of his ladies to call him daddy.
We're going to have to get our lawyers on that one, I think.
Yeah.
So
it's not the worst thing he's ever done, though. I mean, if you ever saw that fake baby in American Sniper, have you seen that? If you don't watch the movies, actually, as far as Clint Eastwood goes, is not terrible. But they have a fake baby in a scene in it, and it is clearly a fake baby. Okay. And the actors are acting around the fact that this is clearly a fake baby. And because Clint Eastwood finishes each take with, well, that's enough of that. He's not one for moving back and fixing it. So Google. You know what? When we're finished this, now, I'll ask you to briefly YouTube that because I guarantee you it's on there, and you just have a good chuckle.
I will. Can I throw something at you? I mean, something that's striking. Like we've watched 20 odd movies now, right? And it's just a couple of things have struck me about these Caine roles, right? Has he got a thing for sort of, I don't even know what the expression is. I'm just going to say psychosexual, right? Psychosexual characters. Like, so you've got like Alfie, okay? You've got the guy in the Megas who was a bit of a layer,
I don't think they say Alfie's in psychosexual. It wasn't.
But you know what I mean? It's the wrong. It's the wrong expression. I suppose what I'm trying to say is, there's a huge sort of there's a huge sexual element to a lot of the characters he's playing. So you've got Alfie, you've got the guy in the Megas. You've got the story in Deadfall where he's in love with the woman who's married to her dad. You have Z and Co.
But these psychosexual issues are more on behalf of your one and her adoptive father.
Okay, let me just go back. Let's just draw a line through the expression psychosexual. All right, just forget that. Right, I'm just saying there's a huge sexual.
If you draw a line under something, does that mean it's more important?
Just look. Stop. Just look. I let you sing. All right, you've. That's it. You're fucking done now, right? No rope left. No rope.
I said psychosexual because I want to sound like an intellectual.
Yeah, you got me now. So look, Alfie, the Megas, Deadfall, Z and Co. Okay, and now Sleuth as well. There's a fairly strong sexual element to the character. And also, he plays very unlikable characters. I mean, Milo Tyndall is a fairly unlikable guy, and it doesn't always end well for these guys.
I wouldn't say he's that unlikable. He's a dickhead, but he's not the worst. Jesus, I mean, look at the character.
He doesn't know when to stop. He keeps on and on at this. I know Wyke is a goal as well, but he really keeps going on and on at him. You know,
he's not a patch on and Co, or whatever the name of his fucking character was in Z and Co.
Yeah, he was awful. But I mean, So anyway, characters, unlikable characters, that doesn't always end well. I mean, he's died in a lot of his movies, like, so The Last Valley, Carter, Sleuth, Deadfall, Kidnapped, Play Dirty, or at the very least he ends up in a very bad situation like Alfie, Pulp, The Italian Job, Zinco. Like, that's 9 out of 20 odd films.
That's good, but I mean, that's a good thing about actor.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, it's just an observation.
Yeah, it's an observation that he's played morally complicated or morally complex characters. People, there's always a bit of gray in the people that there's no out and out here. In fairness, thinking back, even at The Italian Job, maybe potentially Charlie Croker is probably the only, and he's a thief, but he's probably the kind of more black and white character that he's played. But there's always a level of complexity to the characters that he plays, and that is by and large a fucking coincidence, because by and large he is picking these movies out of a paper hat.
I don't know. Like, I think he's picking them because he sees something in the character, but then the movie that evolves or comes out in the end are largely rubbish. I give him maybe that's me giving him the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. Marks, are we good? Marks out of Caine time, or do you want?
Sure. Yeah, sure. No, I'm happy.
So Marks out of Caine, not for the movie, for the performance. You can go first. I know I'm going to be giving him more than you are. Go on. 7.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute now. I'm going to the list. Wait a second.
Here we go.
I'm going to the list. Right.
I really need to talk to you. I really need to have a conversation with you about consent, right?
I'm just trying to.
Will you come home with me? No. Hang on. No, let me go back to the text message that we've exchanged over the last week.
I'm just trying.
Where you clearly indicated a willingness to go inside the house with me. Jesus Christ! Would you not just take my answer as my final answer without in some way trying to?
I want you to know what you're saying. You're saying that his performance in this is the equivalent of Funeral in Berlin some years and some episodes ago. We give 7 for that. You're comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay. I would give him an 8 for this.
All right, that's only one more.
Yeah, well, if you would,
a huge jump, I've given him one more. You fucking monster! How could you 7? I've given him a glorious 8.
Yeah, a higher 8. If I was rounding it up, it might even be a 9.
That's not how I'm working.
I'm coming back to you a bit. Give it an 8. All right. So what are we going to say? 7, 8. All right. Come on.
I'll go 8 with you. I'll compromise. You see, I'm capable of compromise, but already I've reinforced your negative attitude towards consent. You got it. Right. I pushed him in this before, so maybe I might get a couple of fingers down there the next time.
Hell no. Disgusting. Hell no. I'm going to keep on your. I mean, 1972. I'm just like, what a year. Z and Co. We gave him 1 out of 10. Pulp, we gave him 2 out of 10. Oh my God. And absolutely. And now Sleuth leaps to 7 or 8 out of 10. Oscar nomination, doesn't get it over the line, but another decent performance, we could at least say. So we're leaving Caine, unless there's anything else you want to say, we're going to leave McCain now at the end of 1972. Very mixed year, as we've just said. Pulling out a top drawer performance, in my opinion, anyway, the death to salvage things. Next up, actually, he takes a break from filmmaking, it seems, because there's no McCain film in 1973 at all. It seems.
I think in around that, if my timing right, I think that Shakira was pregnant with the first child.
You are correct.
He is focusing on his family. Fair play to him.
He is. He gets married. Natasha is born. They buy a big dirty house, and he's building extensions, and he's very concerned about the price of the extensions. Let me tell you, he's basically in, I suppose, the equivalent of the John Lennon bread making phase. Sort of just trying to settle down and put some roots down and what have you. So he kind of disappears for a bit of, I suppose, 1972 into 73. But he returns in 1974 with the first in a run of 4 films, beginning with the word "the." Okay, I don't know if that's significant or not. Next up is a film called The Black Windmill.
Should my grip relax on this trigger, it'll detonate enough explosive to rip your guts out. I don't
know either.
You already know,
I don't know either. I had a quick look. I had a very, very quick look at the synopsis for this. So, you think in 1972, okay, so Vietnam, Stephen, Richard Nixon, Watergate, are these ticking boxes, ringing bells? So we're in sort of early 70s paranoia time. So there's a bit of spying. I think there might be a spy in this, bit of kidnapping maybe involved. We'll see. I'm kind of hoping that we'll find an unexpected sort of gem at some stage. Just a film that I've never heard of, The Black Windmill. that we just kind of find a movie that's by Caine that just kind of is surprisingly good. I haven't got that yet.
Yeah, well, there's always hope. I mean, what do you always say? It's always darkest before dawn, isn't it?
That's right. No, shut up, you. Quiet, you. Okay, I think we're done. That was Sleuth, Larry Olivier and Mick Caine in cahoots, and we're done.
Yeah, we'll see you all in 1973 for The Black Windmill. Go out, go watch it. If you have any questions that you want to ask us about The Black Windmill, hit us up on the tweets at Michael Caine 2 or at McFoley76. All right.
Yeah, that's right. You never mentioned my Twitter handle. Why have you started now? I need to know that. I didn't give any consent for this. Speaking of consent,
I'm overawed by the amount of positive promotion you do on Twitter for the podcast. So I'm just going to make sure that your name gets out there a bit more.
I'm wrecked. I'm on the verge of losing my job as a result of this. And at Mallow News, by the way. They can talk to you there, can't they?
That's fine. No, nobody who follows Mallow News who listens to this.
They don't. That may be because you're not trying your arse to throw it on the thing.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
I will. Go out, watch it in the YouTubes or on the streams, and if you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter at Michael Caine 2. Until then, best of luck.
See yous.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment. Only nice ones, though. Mean comments will make Alfie cry, and no one wants to see that. The Michael Caine podcast is written, researched, and presented by Stephen Black and Michael Foley, and edited by Andrew Foley. Music is composed by Stephen Black. If you'd like to get in touch, you'll find us on Twitter at Mallow News and at Michael Caine 2. And if you enjoyed this episode, you'll find all the rest wherever you get your podcasts. The Michael Caine is a Mallow News 2 Cubes production. See you next time.